I declare the House in committee for consideration of the Social Assistance, New Work Tests, Incentives and Obligations Amendment Bill.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Chairman.
Members, the House is in committee on the Social Assistance, New Work Tests, Incentives and Obligations Amendment Bill. This bill is in 5 parts, with 1 to 5, and Schedules 1 to 3, Clauses 1 and 2, and by the leave of the House, it's going to be debated as a single question with multiple calls.
Mr. Chairman.
I call the Honourable Annette King.
Mr. Chairman, this is a bill that has been rushed through this Parliament. It has been rushed through this Parliament as a piece of political posturing. It is poll-driven. It is populist. It is not based on policy that works. It is discriminatory. It is judgmental. And it is anti-children and anti-families. And those are the views of so many people up and down New Zealand. And this government has been told over and over and over again at the Select Committee, by social commentators, by opinion leaders, in opinion pieces in newspapers, by researchers, by academics, by government agencies like the Human Rights Commission. They've said in one voice, dump this bill. And the reason they say dump this bill is because it does not do what the Minister said she wants it to do. It does not achieve what she sets out to achieve. And I see Dr Hutchison interjecting as I speak. He was not on the Select Committee, so therefore he did not hear most of the submissions that came, organisations that I know that Dr Hutchison would support and he would find very credible. Those organisations came to the Select Committee and said, this bill is wrong, we oppose it. It will not achieve what you say it is going to achieve. And we ask the question, why do we have this bill now? What is the reason for the so-called Social Assistant Future Focus Bill? What is the reason for it? Because the Minister has set up a very expensive working party to find long-term solutions to what she calls dependency. When asked at the Select Committee what dependency was, she couldn't give a definition. In fact, she doesn't know what dependency is, and she was unable to answer that question. But we say, why have we got a bill that sets out sanctions, that sets out a punitive approach to people on benefits, when you've also got a working party that's looking at how you solve long-term dependencies? Because it appears to us that many of the recommendations they're going to give from this very narrow group of so-called experts are going to be very in line with this bill. So it's a bit like putting the cart before the horse. You see, what we think this bill is all about is part of the National Party's propaganda machine. You see, first of all, you identify the scapegoat. And who are the scapegoats that are out there to be beaten up on with special reports and special reviews and special attention, but beneficiaries, people who are invalids, people who have been released from mental institutions and who used to be in IHC homes, people who are sick, people who are sole parents caring for children. And these people have become the scapegoat for the National Party in this bill. So first of all, you identify the scapegoat. Then you heap lots of criticism on them. And we only need to look at the comments from the Honourable Judith Collins to know what the National Party thinks of beneficiaries. She said this: we're upset when we see people sit around all day watching Sky TV, living off the taxpayers, letting their children run riot and getting stoned. That was her view about beneficiaries. That was what she said about people who are trying to do their best to raise the most vulnerable children in New Zealand. They sit around with Sky Television getting stoned. Well, I don't agree with that. This party doesn't agree with that, and most New Zealanders don't believe that is what people do who are on benefits. So first of all, you heap criticism on them and then you blame them. And then the next thing you do is you use bogus figures to stir up a bogey against them. And the biggest bogus figure we got was the $50 billion figure, which was in the Minister's Working Party Group report. $50 billion is what they'll cost us if they stayed on benefits for their entire life. Well, let me tell you, if Paula Rebstock was to stay in her commission job for all her working life, she'd cost the taxpayers $12 million. Now, that's about as stupid as saying that it cost $50 billion. That was set up and said by John Armstrong in a very good column. That is a bogus figure, and it's there, set about to, Mr Chairman, set about to scare off those people who look at beneficiaries. Mr Chairman, this bill is not going to achieve what the Minister wants to achieve. First of all, it is misnamed. It wasn't named correctly because one of the strongest first submissions we received was from the Law Commission. The Law Commission that advises the government on all matters to do with legislation. They said that this was not a good law. Naming a bill with a meaningless political title meant that it meant nothing, and in fact it was a very bad track to go down, that the title should include the substance of the bill, because people would have no idea what the bill was about if it did not. Well, of course, saying it's a future focus doesn't describe what is in the bill. And you will note, Mr Chairman, that I have lodged a supplementary order paper giving a much more realistic name to the bill. In fact, if you would like to look at that supplementary order paper, you will see that it could be called a number of things. It could be called, we're giving them a leg up bill, we're backing them bill. Well, there are many things that we could call this bill, which goes along with the slogans that the Minister constantly uses. So the name of the bill is a misnomer. It is not a correct title for this bill. This bill is not about assisting people off benefits. And the reason why is it is punitive. It does not provide the tools to get people off benefits. We know, and you had a very good example of it today, that people will work given the opportunity. 150 jobs in a supermarket in Mount Roskill today. How many people applied for it? Over 2,700 people. People do want to work. Look at the statistics. When we had full employment in New Zealand, unemployment at around 3.8%, we had very few people who were on benefits. We even had a drop in those who were on the sole parent benefit because they want to work as well. They want to work in jobs that suit their child caring arrangements, that suit their education. But what has this government done? They took away the education that was possible for people to get ahead. The very education the Minister of Social Development had herself, that gave her a university degree, that gave her a leg up the ladder, that was cut by this government. This bill does not put back that sort of assistance. It doesn't provide to help those who are on benefits get ahead. So we know they want to work. We know they want to work given the right opportunities and the right environment. And I think one of the most powerful submissions we received at the Select Committee came from the Human Rights Commission. And it came from the EEO Commissioner of the Human Rights Commissioner, who had done a Focus on Work project. This is evidence, Minister, if you'd listen to it, that she went out and she surveyed 16 regions, 300 employers. And what she found was there was a total lack of jobs. And it's a critical component when you're wanting to get people off benefits and into work. She found that there were not jobs there. She also found evidence of a lack of childcare. So when these people are told